How's it going? I'll check chat back in a little bit. Alright, I already did this one. I need to make a video on this. It's a pretty good package. Maybe I'll fix this one. What's up, Code 44X? What's up, Carlton Gordon? Yo, yo. What's up, Jay Shady? How's it going tonight? It's going pretty good. Just wanted to stream a little bit. I want to try to get like a feature or two done on this. One of the things we could try to do is, you notice this combo box, the stuff is kind of going off the page. So let's try to figure out a way to prevent that from happening. And maybe even rethink how we're doing it here. Because we could potentially have very long file names, and I almost wonder if it's better to like not put that there. This thing probably has like a fixed height on it, so let me find combo box. Try to figure out what's going on. Maybe it has like a fixed width on here, so min width of 150. But the thing that the combo box is living in, what is it living in? I got a sheet over here. We got this thing. And this, does it have like a width on it? I bet the combo box styling has like a hard-coded width on it. Command input, command list. Not that one. Okay, so it's right here. Min width of 200. Last name of truncate. I could give this thing like a fixed width. Maybe that'd be better. Okay, so when in doubt, if I give a width to this thing, right now I'm kind of just like playing around to figure out where I change width. Okay, so like it's like this thing. Let me inspect this, this div. Try to figure out It must have some type of like fixed width on it because it's not expanding. So over here, we can do a width and try to figure out if it has a fixed width. $320 pixels, maybe. Max width of extra small. That's the issue right there. There we go. Okay, so let me undo a lot of the stuff I did, and I'll find that max width of extra small. We don't want that. Okay, so now as I select different things, it should expand automatically to show the full component. Now the other issue is when I click on gallery, it's like this drop down size is not scaling up. So we'll have to figure that one out too. And that's inside the combo box itself, like that pop-up that happens, pop over content. I bet you if I comment this out, it'll tell me, like that's the component, right? Here's a good little strategy. Just comment code out and save it and go back to your UI, and that's how you can kind of like quickly tell if that is the code that you're kind of looking for. But it's probably also the command list. Let's look through here. We got a command group. Yeah, so like, let me try a flex grow, see if that'll like, I don't think I can actually like style this thing. I think one of the fastest things that could be is, I'm gonna go ahead and just like click on this. Can you try to make the combo box command of pop over content expand as wide as possible to fit all the content inside, regardless of the original size of the combo box? Trigger, maybe? Min width of 200. Radix pop over trigger width. I mean, that fixed it. So let's try to understand why that is the case. So right now I had a hard-coded width. Instead, we're saying the min width will be that. So this will allow it to expand. Okay, this makes sense. I'm not sure where this radix pop over trigger width comes from. This must be some type of variable that's in my like Tailwind config. Yeah, I don't know where that's defined. Probably in the radix library, and I'm guessing I import. Is radix like imported somewhere as like a package? Yeah, I'm not sure. Will this be a multi-tenant platform? Yeah, I think I'm going to go for that. Assuming we're on the same... If we're on the same boat of what multi-tenant definition means, basically you can come in here and make a site and get it deployed out and published, and then I'd handle the hosting for it. So yeah, maybe that's multi-tenant. Another Git repo that will be lost in the sea. Absolutely. I'm so glad you guys know me. I'm so glad. What's up, Bob Ross? Colin, my job gave us the option to use Cursor. AI Assistant is way more useful than I thought it would be. Yep. Why I use it. When you build something, do you prioritize perfection or just make it work? I just make it work. You know the saying, make it work, make it right, make it fast? There's a reason why they say that, because you spend too much time trying to like perfect everything. You find out that your users don't even care about what you just perfected. Is there like a little bug here? I'm changing the drop down. When it goes to a code gallery, this is working, but when I go to a code component, it's like it just stops working. Why would that happen? All right, so again, we'll have to go and like figure out a bug there. So when I go to a component page and then try to use the combo box to navigate back to a different page, it doesn't work. That's weird. Why would that not work? Oh, you know why? I know why that would not work. Because I'm doing some hacky stuff with injecting script tags. So I gotta find that script tag. And I believe, where does this get injected? It looks for the head tag. But this code doesn't have a head tag. So it's almost like if it doesn't include, so if it includes a head tag, inject it inside of it, else includes a head tag, otherwise just append it at the top. Yeah, so it should be injected here. Hold on a second. Let me look at this. Got some crazy iframe magic going on here. So this should have, when this code snippet loaded up in the iframe, this code should have been injected. So it should have put the navigation script at the very top of the code. But I don't see it. Am I looking at the right place? Let me make sure I'm looking at the right place. This is the footer component. I am not looking at the right place. Okay, so here's the iframe for my Hono app. It's pulling in footer component JS. That should be the code. For some reason, it has all this HTML and stuff. I guess that's automatically added to the JavaScript. Because I don't think I'm adding this break word stuff. I don't know where that's coming from. Am I adding this? No. I think the iframe might just by default be like adding that in if it can't find an HTML wrapping. So I wonder if it would be better to just like, let me try this. Let me try this. Okay. Only inject navigation script for HTML content and not for code view. That comment probably is why that's not happening. So if it includes HTML and it's not code view, I want to inject it anyway. I think I want to inject anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and just delete this whole line and then also delete the closing tag. Let's try this out. And then I'm going to get rid of this stuff. What was this before? Wasn't it like... Let me just revert that change. All right. Hopefully that's good. I think I broke the other thing now. Why is there a script tag here though? And let me just do this. I'm going to put a console log here. Where are we getting? Where are we getting when we actually hit this page? AAACCC. Yeah, so I guess iframes must default by injecting HTML tags if it doesn't find an HTML tag. Does anyone know if that's the case? Actually, let me go over to project ID and find that iframe. Localhost. It's also one of those times where it's like, okay, should I just prompt AI to do it for me? Like, I know I'm probably going to waste a bunch of time trying to fix this. But if I actually just went back to what it was. What am I missing here? Let me just describe it. So when I try to preview the code component, when I try to preview a component type of file, a non-HTML file, the iframe combo box navigation, and then I'm going to go find combo box. Actually, I don't need to find that. Whatever. Doesn't seem to work. I believe it's because it's trying to inject the script tag, but there is no HTML body. Let's see what it does. Give it one shot. If not, I'll keep on going back to manually debugging it. Because this should kind of work, right? I can even like make this a nice custom code view if you go to that page. The solution is to wrap non-HTML content in HTML structure when serving it. That's what I was doing. So I'm not sure what I was doing wrong, but I'll kind of let that cook for a second. What's up, Papata999? Welcome. I was thinking of making an event website builder at one point. There are still a lot of local sport leagues and clubs that could use an easier and cleaner way to register people. Yeah, that might be cool to build. Ernest, hello. Will you consider making content on Java and Spring Framework for apps? No. What's up? Cody from Bob Ross. Welcome. Sid says, if you were a newbie, how would you approach web development with the knowledge you have now? What projects would you build? I mean, just build a bunch of stuff, right? When you're a newbie, your goal is trying to learn how to problem solve. And the only way to problem solve is to get exposed to as many problems as you can. So, like, look at a website and try to identify things on that website that you could try to build yourself. Like, maybe start with front end. Front end is typically easy to, or not easy, but it's easier because it's visual. So, for example, you're looking at these chat widgets on my screen right here. Can you even build this stuff out by hand? Like, can you, using Tailwind or CSS or whatever, can you lay these out properly by hand? And if so, then move on to the next thing. Okay, can you add interactivity so that when someone types here and submits it, can you store it somewhere on a backend? So it's like your goal is to try to build projects, build like larger scale projects, but sometimes to get to that level, you have to start with building up the smaller things. And as the months and the years go by, you're going to have much more smaller things under your belt where you can literally look at any application and in your head, you already know how to build it. Difference between use context and use memo. Use memo is for performance. So if you have like a React component that keeps on re-rendering and it's very expensive to re-render, you want to wrap it in a use memo and give it just certain properties to listen to. I think use memo is more for like variables inside your React component. Like if you wanted to do some expensive computation by like looping over an array of like 1,000 elements, that's when you want to use memo. But there is also like a react.memo that you can use to wrap components to improve performance that way. Use context is for basically taking a variable and sharing it amongst multiple React components. But yeah, Jay Shady, I mean, if that's something you think people would use, I mean, build it, Why not? Look at this. One prompted and now it looks nice. What is going on? But can I go back? The gallery page. I can. But my gallery page is messed up. I wonder why my gallery page is messed up. I think it's not injecting the correct styles here. Header component, footer component, style. Actually, yeah, this is problematic. I can't change how this is returned. That preview looked pretty nice, though. You know what I'm saying? Pretty nice little code preview. So I guess I could try to build upon this. If you go to a component that's just JavaScript, I have to distinguish if it's being loaded by the browser or it's being loaded by, because like the actual path matches that component name. So technically I could attach like a query string or something in the URL so that my backend server can know when to return this like preview mode HTML or when not to. Maybe, I don't know. But then I also have this feature when I click on this, like I can already see the code kind of pop out. So it's one of those things where maybe you click on a component and it has a .js extension, I could just automatically pop this out instead of changing the iframe. Like what's going on with these little like things here? Let me reject this file. I'm actually gonna just how many files did it change? Just one file. Let me reject that. Yeah, this is an interesting bug. How do I want to fix this? There's different ways I could try to fix this. I might go with that one approach where I'm going to go ahead and say, when a user selects a page with a .js extension or any extension, because there could be CSS, you know, I'll keep it simple, JS or .css extension, because I do believe I have CSS files here, which will do the same thing. Do not send the event to navigate the iframe. Instead, just pop open the code preview sheet. And since I like doing AI first development at this point, I like to at least find the file that's related to popping over the sheet. So I need to find the refresh GW icon. I got the sheet here. I'm gonna go ahead and just like copy this whole sheet, paste it in, so AI has a little bit more context about where exactly in the code I think it should kind of focus in on. If you don't do this approach, it just takes a little bit longer. It's sometimes a lot more inaccurate. So the better you know your code base, the better you can actually give context to AI, and it performs much better. Let's see what it's kind of changing. So on value change, it ends with this. It's going to go ahead and just path save is open. I don't think this is going to work either. We can test it out, but I don't think this is going to work. And when you know your code decently well, see, it's changing the path. So again, this is close, but there is a use effect listening for the path state variable change, which will automatically send the event to the iframe. I think you need to actually prevent it around that area of the code. Let's just see if it can kind of do that. I know it's boring watching AI do my work, right? Another thing, so like getting good at reading code is probably like what turns you into like a senior engineer. Right? Writing the code's not as important, but reading the code and be able to quickly parse through it. Notice that this code is basically duplicated into two places. Like this is not very good. So I would probably say, can you not duplicate the same code, find a way to dry it up. And I would guess it's going to pull this to the very top. Maybe it's going to create a helper function. Is code file. Let's see what it does. Also changing this is code file. So it's pulling that out to a computed. Oh, see, it made a function. Made a function, and then it's going to call. Stream disconnecting again. Yo, every time I stream, like, I just keep getting disconnected for some reason. Do you think you'll use Clerk? They have a lot of pre-built roles for multi-tenant stuff, I believe. Nah, I'll probably just, like, do my own thing. What was the first programming language you learned, and how did you discover programming or this field? Yeah, I don't know if it's because I'm using Restream or like there's something wrong with my computer. But I don't know how to like debug it unless I go on a stream like all the time, you know? My first programming language, I don't know. I think it was Visual Basic, maybe? And that was back in middle school. I did like a big introduction to like web programming. They also taught HTML and CSS. Visual Basic, we built like a little game with Visual Basic. I think around that time, what other stuff was I doing? Java in high school is like we started learning about like object-oriented programming. Basic on the TI calculator is nice. Yeah, I always played the games in class. I never actually tried to learn the programming language for like making the games. That's pretty cool though. As a newbie, would you recommend using AI to get code, or should I use it more like Stack Overflow as a tool to guide me? To get code. I would say either. I mean, as long as you're understanding the code that you're reading. Like, one thing I would not recommend doing is just letting it drop code into your code base without you spending time at least understanding the logic. Because again, if you're trying to learn the code, you should read through the code and understand the logic or the high level flow of how the code's working. Pretty good. I mean, it does. I want to make sure it loads up the correct thing. Landing page header component. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if that's the best user experience. I think it's pretty good though. I'm going to commit this because we do have it in a working. We do have it working. So I'm going to go ahead and say fixing issue with combo box width and preventing iframe from showing non-HTML files. And if you don't understand it, just ask it to explain itself. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one thing that you should really leverage. If you're a beginner, you have this tool that can literally explain everything to you. And if you don't understand it, you can ask it to break it down because you're a noob, right? You can prompt it and say, hey, I don't understand half of what you just said. Can you like explain it to a junior engineer? And then it will break it down and explain it to you at a much easier to digest context. So it's kind of like why I recommend that you probably just use some type of IDE that has at least a chat panel. Because otherwise, like, how are you going to learn all this stuff? Code's confusing when you're starting off, so like you need someone to help teach you the code. Okay, we got two little features. Something about the combo box. Wasn't the when I go? Yeah, I fixed that one. I fixed that one. Need the ability to undo recent changes. Page version history. So this one's going to be a big one. I like to kind of think about what I'm doing. So need the ability to undo recent changes. So in order to achieve this, I think I'm going to have to add versioning to my pages. So every time I prompt AI to refine a page or to refine the entire website, it goes through every page and it tries to like rewrite the page or rewrite the code. And in doing so, it blows away the old files. So like I don't have context of what it used to be. And this is why the landing page is broken right now, because I told it to do something, it didn't do a good job, but I don't have a way to revert those changes. So we're going to try to add that in. Now, you can start like priming AI with some context. For example, I could say like version, and then we could say this is going to be a number, and I'm going to make it optional because without making it optional, this stuff won't even like deploy out because I have to run a migration script and all this stuff. But I probably want to have some type of incremental version number on the page, probably on the project as well, especially when I get later on to like trying to get this stuff to deploy out somewhere. You want like a deployment. You know, I'm not gonna dive down to that. I'm getting too ahead of myself. So I'm gonna say I need to add the ability to revert a change on any page. Please do the following. Add a button in the bottom left to revert the page to a previous version. I know my head's blocking it. Maybe I should hide my head real quick or something. Actually, let me go to, what if I do this mode? Okay, not that mode. Let me go to this mode. Here we go. And then I could probably, yeah, that's good enough. Add in a button in the bottom left to revert the page to the previous version if and only if a previous page exists. Or previous version exists. To know if a version exists. Actually, no, versions are strictly auto incrementing. So if the current version is not defined or 0, you can't roll back. Add a convex mutation, which will... Actually, let me think a little bit more about what I'm about to do. Every version of the page has to point to a different page file ID. So I wonder actually instead if I said versions, and then this is an array, this is an object, and then we're going to say, I don't know what that is. This will be the version number content created at, sure, why not? Again, I'm not going to do created at right now. Again, I'm still just trying to make sure I understand like a high level design about how I want to do this. Basically, I want to be able to revert a page back to a previous version. And to achieve that, I could have a current version on the page itself, and then that can go and look up the version information. I could also be prompting AI right now and asking it to give me ideas, but I kind of want to think about the solution I think will work best. I kind of like the versions array because like then I don't have to have like another table and like link stuff together. It's very simplistic having a versions array, and I could just push on new versions into that. And each version of this page would then point to a page file ID. But then I think it would require me getting rid of this on the top level page. I might add a current version here. Each page should track its current version. Which will point to a version stored in the versions array. The page file ID should also point to the file that represents that version when new refinements are created. And then I can go to like page, and I can go ahead and just like collapse this and say refine page concurrently. When a new page is created, make sure you add the proper version of fields, etc. I'm going to go ahead and just paste in this. I wish I could actually like paste this right here. Yeah, let me actually, instead of doing, I think I'm doing too much at once, right? One thing I've learned from using AI is try to do smaller incremental changes. If you do like a one giant change request with like 1,000 different acceptance criteria, it probably won't perform too well. Thanks. I don't actually know a lot yet. I just started about 3 months ago. Right now, I'm kind of stuck on my project because it's quite big and it's causing me burnout. Yeah, man, just keep pushing through. Keep learning new stuff. One thing that's helped me is every day, like, just keep track, like in a list or like a to-do list or something, some type of note tracking app. One new thing you feel like you learned that day. Okay, so like if you're learning JavaScript, maybe the first day you learn about variables, you learn about functions, you learn about one more thing. And then the next day, you should add 3 more things. And then eventually you have to come back and make sure you truly understand it, because sometimes you feel like you learned it, but you really don't know what you're learning. So like go back and just add like another tally just to verify that you do know what you just kind of an effort trying to learn. Is it a good idea if I go all in React Native? I feel it is hard and takes time to master both backend and front end. Honestly, I don't know. I would probably just use Expo if you're trying to build like a mobile app. But I don't know if going all in with React Native is bad. If you want to become like a full-time mobile app developer, then I'm sure it's good to do that. Or at least try to like learn about like Dart or Swift or whatever those other languages or frameworks they use. Are you using Convex? Yeah, I'm using Convex for this project. Isn't that going to be a lot to store all the settings multiple times? So if I'm just storing like an array of 2 fields, a version and a file ID, I mean, I could probably get this up to like 1,000 or so. I think there's like a kilobyte limit in terms of like a convex record. But I mean, eventually you could always just like pull this out to another table, right? This could be its own separate table instead of being a nested table. I need the ability to revert a change on any page. Please do the following. Each page should track its current version. Let me actually just paste this stuff. I've already added my updates to the schema for current version and the nested versions array. Each page should, yeah, let me actually, let me keep this simple. When a new page is created, make sure you add the proper version fields. Fields related to this version update. When a existing page is refined, make sure you push a new version into the versions array and update the current version number on the record, and also make sure the page file ID points to the proper file version ID. I kind of want to just start with this. I think this is simple enough where like I can just kick it off and I'll come back and just double check the code that I think should be changed. Luckily, this is in TypeScript, so when I made the changes to my schema, I think my code base started lighting up with like errors everywhere, right? So kind of let this cook for a little bit. And while it's cooking, you can kind of read through it. So it looks like it's trying to modify when I create a page. Okay. Is create page even called anywhere? Where's this being called? Internal create page. Okay, that's called when I first set up a project, so that's good. Get pages version, get page versions. Get all versions on a page. This is returning. Give it a page, it's returning the version the file ID in is current. Okay, I don't know what it plans to use this for. I didn't ask it to add in a get page versions, but maybe it's going to reuse that somewhere else in the code base. Now let me also add a query to get the content of a specific version for preview purposes. Okay, let me fix someone's error. I think it's a little bit overconfident with what I just changed. I don't think it's truly gonna. Insert into pages. Create default page records. Yeah, I guess I'll just add these in, whatever. Again, I still consider what I'm working on basically a giant prototype. So there's a lot of stuff I would have to come back and delete and just redo. I want to verify a concept first and then improve it over time. Yeah, why did it added revert page to version action? So it's like adding all this stuff in, which might be kind of fine, but. So it prompts the AI, I get a response back, upsert HTML page. What is that doing? Okay, so it's adding the version here, but it's not incrementing it. So I think, yeah, I think the issue is I want to start at version 0. Maybe I should start at version 1. I don't know. Maybe I'll keep it at 0. Don't overthink it. Just get it working, right? Okay, so current version 0 is the first iteration of that. Otherwise, it gets the current version and it increments it by 1. Then it should store that. This looks good. So far, this seems okay. Can you now work on adding a button in the bottom left of the page to revert the current version and file page ID of the pages record to the previous version if a user clicks on that button? The button should be grayed out if the version is not defined or at version 0. Let's see what this does. Basically, I'm hoping that it just adds a little button here, like an arrow pointing to the left. And then when you click it, it'll go ahead and do like the whole swap. Might have to add logic to delete the old file. I don't know if I want to be able to like go back and forth between revisions. Maybe it'd be better not to delete the versions. Instead, you can kind of like go back in time or go back forward in time if you want to. Curious why you chose to use an array rather than a separate table for versions. I guess it feels easier. If it's a separate table, then like everywhere I'm gonna have to like do joins and like pull that information in just to get the proper file ID. But yeah, I mean, it could be down the road. I find that it's better to make it into a table, so I'd probably just pull it out to a table, you know? Was that yerba? Yeah, it's the mint one. It's good stuff. Hey, what's up, Razmik? What is going on? What would you recommend? By the way, go check out Razmik's YouTube channel. I'll give you a shout out.
What's up, my fellow developers and my...
What's up, my fellow developers? 52,000 subs. Man, you're doing great. Killing it. Go check out Razmik. He been making content for a while now. What would you recommend to someone like me who doesn't like to read the docs? Maybe this is just because I don't read a lot. I would probably recommend get into the habit of reading. The better you are at reading docs, if you don't want to read the whole docs, because some docs are terrible, like get good at finding the relevant information for what you're trying to solve. That's how I like the code. Like, I'm not going to read through your entire documentation and learn everything because I know I'm not going to retain any of it. So instead, I'll just start building something. For example, when I started to learn how to work with TanStack Start, I need to figure out how the file-based router works. So I go to the file-based router docs and maybe glance through it, start implementing some stuff. And then I find out I'm trying to implement a feature where I need to get the actual like path parameter here, which I think you can't see on my screen for some reason. Let me try to pull that down. It locked. Am I cropping this out? Why can't you see that? Oh yeah, why is that cropped out? Weird. Yeah, so like for example, right here, this path parameter, eventually you're gonna try to add a feature in, and you're like, well, I need to get this token out of the URL. How do I do it? So then you go back to the docs and you find that particular page that tells you how to do path parameters. You read through it, you go and you use what you learned and you apply it. And you keep doing that process. That's how I like the code. I'm not going to go and read through the whole TanStack docs. Like, I don't, who has time for that, you know? But there's some developers who will. They will literally read through like all the documentation. They may spend a whole day or two or like a week reading through everything, and they'll have like a nice holistic view of how the syntax or how the framework works. There's pros and cons to both of them. I think probably reading through the whole docs and having a holistic view of how it works is probably a better approach. But I don't have the patience for that. Hey, what's up? Ate it, yeah? Thing? Thank you. Thank you for the drinking caffeine at 9 p.m. is wild. Hey man. You gotta do what you gotta do. You mean you don't print out a copy to read while on the John? I'm sure people used to do that. That's the funny thing. Okay, so I kind of let AI just implement a bunch of stuff. Let's see if it even added the revert button. It did not, but I don't even know if we're on version 1 of this thing. So again, this is a prototype. So like what we could do is let's just start fresh. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to delete the project ID. I'm going to make a brand new project. And then we're going to grab this. My local setup for this is just a mess. It's a complete nightmare. But There's a method to my madness, I promise. So I'm going to go ahead and just load up a brand new generated project. By the way, I did add a projects page, so like I can go and see all the projects I'm working on. I'm going to click this. Here we go. We got a little website here. I don't see the revert button. So let's actually go and double check my docs. So I should be able to go here to pages. I need to find the project I just created. Do I have a version on these? They're all unset. So my first hunch is that my CLI tool is not properly saving because I have like a syntax error somewhere. I'm not really sure why. Because when I created a brand new project, it should have added the versions. Yep, that's my hunch. It's saying in table pages does not match the schema. Okay, yeah, so it's like I already have, this needs to be wrapped in an optional. You know, sometimes you have the benefit when you're not in production to page file ID, current version. If you're not in production, you have the flexibility to go and just delete everything. And that is a beautiful thing. Otherwise, you have to worry about your migrations and like you're adding a new field or you want to remove a field, but you can't do that because in prod, if you do that, you're going to break the app. So literally just delete the code, delete the data, make a new project. Here we go. And now I should be able to go back to my index and then update that ID here. I did it correctly. I didn't do it correctly because I have to delete it from that. I know it's so hacky, but okay. Do I have versions now? Current version 0. We have a versions array on this stuff. If you were to look at it, we have versions, which has a file ID and a version number. I might even need to put the description on it too. Description. This is a footer. Yeah, so I guess what I want to do now is I'm going to go here and I'm going to say, can you add a testimonial section to this page? And I want to check my constants because I think I just ran out of my Claude free tokens. Yeah, I'm using ChatGPT. Yo, one thing I didn't realize is that like it's pretty expensive to just like ask it to refactor a single page. So I'm going to refine this page. That should eventually increment the version here. We should see it append. It's generating this one, right? So if I go ahead and just like kind of take a peek at this, eventually when it's done, I'm hoping it'll increment the version number from 0 to 1, and then we should get another file ID attacked onto this array. But it's still doing something. It literally has to like rewrite the whole page, and the page has like a bunch of nested JavaScript in it. Or sorry, nested styling in it. So it may take a while. Either that or it's broken, you know? Always a possibility. Set page status, refine single page. Yeah, what's going on here? Here we go. Current version 1. Go check out the versions. It added a new version. We have a different file ID. Okay, look at that. There's an issue with like scrolling. For some reason, like the body isn't scrollable. All right, we have a testimonial page here. Now, if I click on back, revert to version 0. Look at that. Revert to version 1. I kind of rather it be like a pagination component, Let me just prompt this a little bit. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find in that project ID, I want to find the revert button. And then I'm going to go ahead and say, I actually need you to refactor this to be similar to a pagination button, where it has a revert button on the left, the current version in the middle, and a forward apply. I know what we call it, revert forward button on the right. Revert forward would increment to the next version if one actually exists. Disable the button if no. I don't know. If none exists, I guess. I want to disable the button or just hide them. Let's just see how this can do it. Let's see what it does. Why can't I do technical interviews like this? Vibe coding. Bro, I don't know. Like, this whole industry is just a mess. Like, the fact that we're asking people... I'll tell you right now, I work with someone who's, like, an amazing engineer. He's, like, one of the most, like... I don't know, he's just a really good engineer. I don't know how else to say it. But he was, like, asked to reverse a linked list on, like, an interview or something. Or, like, he had to do, like, a simple take-home test where he had to do, like, some type of converter. Like, bro, this guy has been in the industry for so long. Why are we being asked the most basic stuff? Like, I know we can do it, but in reality, like, you should be asking a lot, just different questions. Like, I think people interviewing don't know how to interview. Like, we should be able to sit and have a conversation with a dev, and within like 30 minutes to an hour, like, you should have a good gauge of, like, do they actually know what they're talking about? And typically you don't know because they're also, like, nervous. The people you're interviewing are nervous or stressed. So you need to have a casual conversation and just, like, start asking them questions. And then once you ask them and get some information, you just ask them more questions. You just keep going down that whole path. And eventually, they don't feel like they even know how to respond to what you're asking. Then you're like, okay, this guy is either not prepared or just doesn't know what he's talking about. Wouldn't V0 be a better model for the visual stuff? Well, I'm trying to stay away from React. Does V0 do, like, plain static websites? Do you like to fix your car when a part fails? No, I like to make a lot of money as an engineer and then have someone else fix my car. I think it's easier that way. I focus on my niche and then I'm going to pay someone else who's good at their niche so they can do it right and do it well. V0 barely works for simple stuff. Yeah, that's what I've seen too. I've tried V0 with a couple of, like, basic things. I don't know. It's good for, like, ideation, like getting ideas, but I haven't really tried it for a couple of months. So they probably improved it. The last time I tried it was when I was doing, like, Next.js content. Trust me, replace will help with the issues you're having right now. Trust me. Relace? What is relace? Trust me, relace will help with the issue you're having right now. Yeah, Razmik, I don't know what you just said there. Oh, check out Relace AI. Okay. Retrieve relevant code. Highly specialized auxiliary coding models designed to make AI code gen products faster and more reliable. I don't get what this is. No offense. I don't. Highly specialized auxiliary coding models designed to make AI code gen products faster and more reliable. Yeah, I don't know what they do. They need to work on their landing page because it's not apparent within the first 5 seconds what they do at all. No offense. Custom SOTA? Like, what does that even mean? I don't know what that means. You got a nice little graph. I have no idea what this even means. What do they even do? Okay, so over here we got some version stuff going. Look at this. I can go back. Oh, it went forward. What is going on? Every time I click the back button, it increments my current version in the UI. Can you fix this? We use it at work. Helps with code editing instead of reading the entire file. That's what their copy should be. Let your LLM modify just the important parts of your code. Actually, I don't know. I'm not a marketing person, but I'll have to check it out. I'll trust you. If I get time, I'll look into it. Stream died for a second. Yeah, it just keeps dying. Let me turn off my screen preview. Maybe my OBS preview. Probably also need to update OBS. I'm probably on like version way far back. State of the art. That's what SOTA stands for. You know? So I'm not in the whole like startup realm. I don't live in San Francisco. I'm not hip on all like the startup stuff. So when I read Soda, I think Dota. Thinking like, you know, playing some Warcraft 3 Dota or something for funsies, but yeah, their copy is terrible. So like you use their LLMs to refactor the code you send them instead of using like ChatGPT, or sorry, instead of using OpenAI or Claude. Is that what you're saying? What's up, Holding W? Are you open to any sort of questions? I mean, you can ask a question. If it's interesting, I'll answer. If it's unrelated to you know, you just ask your question, you know? Razmik, where do you work again? I know you told me. It's a startup that does like basically what I'm doing, right? Let me refresh this. Why is this going off the charts current version? Yeah, this is kind of broken. Why is it doing that? Let me delete. The cool thing about this is I can just revert this back. Current version 0. Okay, I'm going to go back and just refresh. I guess I don't even need to refresh. If I click forward, it should go to V1. Click back, goes to V0. We got testimonials. That's pretty cool. Let me commit that. Adding the ability to revert or fast forward individual pages. I don't really trust the code that just got generated. I really need to go through here and like make sure it's doing stuff correctly. But, you know, I'm just a vibe coder now. I will say on my project at work, it's like over 500,000 lines of code. And so using something like Cursor, I just don't think it's going to work. I haven't even tried using on the project for 2 reasons. I think the client has suggested and recommended we don't use AI tooling against the code base. And then also, I just don't think it's going to do very well indexing. We have like thousands and thousands of files. But it was kind of nice. I went back, I just did VS Code. I did the legacy coding type of thing on this project because we just shipped another project that I was working on at work. It was like a Django app, Wagtail app. We got that to production, and then I switched back to the old project because they needed some extra help on it. And it was fun. I kind of went through, did some old school refactoring, changed 40 files, deleted a bunch of stuff without ever using AI the whole day. Like a blast from the past. Yes, this is the TanStack project. I still don't get it. Wouldn't you want the LLM to know the context of the file and folder it's in? Say again, Jacob? I don't know if I understand you. You don't get it, as in like you don't get the thing that Razmik suggested? I don't think an LLM ever needs to know the context of the folder, but it definitely needs to know the context of the files it's importing. Because typically a file has like, you know, it's made up of multiple components and it needs to be able to traverse those imports and learn about those components, at least like the function signatures of those, so that it knows how to call them and stuff. I just spent 10 minutes trying to understand relays and I still have no idea what it does. Yeah, man, welcome to the modern landing page that tells you absolutely nothing about your product, but it looks cool and it has animations and it has charts and graphs. And so you're like, okay, I guess it's pretty hip. Honestly, most sites would probably benefit so much better by just having a simple 60-second video that I can watch. And then it has a developer literally demoing their application to me. I can learn more in 60 seconds watching you demo my application. And if I don't see within 60 seconds an improvement over my current work process, like I'm not even going to use your app. I don't want to have to go and sign up and then experiment and then play with it to see if it's good or not. Let me watch you convince me it's good. Or better yet, send me a video of like an actual like content creator reviewing it in 60 seconds. Like that's probably the best way. In fact, send me an email and pay me money and I'll do it for your company. I got to self-promote a little bit. Times are getting a little bit rough. Jobs are getting harsh. You know, it's hard to get a job, so I need to self-promote. If you guys want sponsored content for your startup, send me an email, okay? Here's my little self-plug. Yeah, I meant folder as in other files it would interact with. Yeah, exactly. Sorry, I didn't really understand you, but yeah, I understand you now. The playground and docs help. Write only the parts of the code you want to change. Maybe I'll do this off stream. You know, I don't want to give these people free publicity. It's just not the type of creator I am. You're working on a startup and you want to get publicity, you got to pay me. It's capitalism, you know? All right, I don't like how these buttons are like giant. This recent change is awesome, but you are also expanding the buttons for the refine too large. You know, is this something I can fix myself? Sometimes you have to ask yourself, like, is it worth doing this or can I just fix it myself? So refresh W, somewhere I'm using that. Okay, after this stream, I have to update OBS. I got to figure out why it keeps disconnecting. Maybe restream is an issue. Is it disconnecting like constantly on you guys? Or not really? What was I going to do again? Oh yeah, there's something wrong with the buttons. I guess I could actually look at the actual DOM elements. Probably because it has a or not fit. I need to add a W fit to these things. To that one, and then also to this one. Wait. I'm modifying the wrong stuff. I need to modify... Razmek, I'm just giving you a hard time, by the way. I am going to go check out that service. I appreciate you giving me a suggestion. I'm going to check it out. I just don't want to get distracted. I know I'm going to load it up and I'm going to start playing around with it, and then 20 minutes later, I won't have made any progress on my side project, so I'm like forcing myself to not look at it. Action buttons bottom left. Why are the action buttons... Refining loading? Look at that. I actually made some code changes myself and fixed a bug. I am proud of myself. I know how to do Tailwind still. I haven't lost it. Could have AI fixed that faster? Probably. They probably could have. Yeah, let's just try... What else can we do here? Instead of the bouncing launch ready card, put a placeholder image. See what this will do. Probably nice to have this be an actual like clickable combo box, kind of like over here, and then it could like show all the versions. I can skip back quickly in time. I just don't know what the user experience of that would be. Like, why would you ever want to switch back to a very, very early version of your code? Especially once you wouldn't even know like what it would be unless you can add notes to it. Maybe every version of a page you could add a note. Shill ain't free. And I know they got that Y Combinator investor money. So, I mean, send me your money and I'll shill your product. It's just the way it works. Especially when they make that stuff public. You know, I go to your startup, I look at your Y Combinator funding round, and it's like, oh, they were given $5 million over the course of a year. Okay, yeah, you can send me some money. I'll talk about your product. Your mic is dying. My stream is falling apart, guys. Can't even be a streamer. Incapable I am. I can't even stream properly. My main problem is execution. I spend too much time in the thinking, planning, never actually shipping anything. I have great ideas, but never dare to bring them to life. Yeah, I mean, pick one and just build it. It's that simple. Just build it, man. What are you waiting for? Especially with AI, you don't even have to do anything. You literally just prompt it. JJMB, I think it's Twitch. I cannot access the stream. So you guys can't hear me talk right now? You not hear me talk? Testing. Mic check 1 2. It cuts out. Okay. Yo, if Razmik can hear me, we're good. That's all I really care about. Visual glitch, mic cut out every bit. Maybe my bit rate is too high or something. I never took the time to figure out how to properly stream. But I know there's a way to change like your video bit rate. Maybe I need to turn it to be lower. Or maybe I need to be higher. Output streaming. I'm streaming on Twitch and YouTube, but my audio and connection seems to randomly disconnect. What should my video bitrate be to help resolve this issue? Maybe I can figure this out. Twitch 6,000, 4,500, 10,000. Let me actually try switching my Wi-Fi too. Maybe if I switch my Wi-Fi, it'll work. Dropped frames, 165. Reset the app and it works. I hear you perfectly now. Okay. Testing. Can you hear me? I switched to my upstairs Wi-Fi and I also changed my bitrate to 6,000. Let's see if it keeps disconnecting. Anyway, so yeah, I just asked this to create the next version. Let's see if it actually did anything. We have a picture here. Okay, some random picture. Now, I guess what would be good is like when I refine it. Let me commit what I have real quick. What did I change here? Oh, fixing buttons. Fixing button width. So I want to, when I refine the current page I'm on, after the refinement is done, I'd like you to force refresh the iframe by sending off a navigate or refresh event to that iframe from my React component. Let's see what it does. This file is getting pretty big though. It's like 750 lines. I feel like splitting this up into smaller files might be a little bit better. So you already have refresh iframe. Okay, perfect. I added a call refresh iframe to handle page refine function. Find single page. Refresh iframe. I don't think this will do what I want it to, because this is gonna like kick it off right after. Change the heading to say hello world. Yeah, that automatically refreshes it. So let's give it a little bit of help. I'm gonna say no, this doesn't work. I actually, or say, the refinement is async. I need you to actually wait for the new. You know, I have a better idea. I'm going to reject, and I'm going to do another prompt. Can you add a use effect which listens for when the current version of the current page I'm on changes? And if it does change, send a refresh iframe event. Had to get a little bit lower level, you know? Had to use keywords like use effect and give it actual functions to call. It's debug, Next.js, Supabase, Tailwind, Shadscene, Web. What do you think? I mean, yeah, it's fine. At this point in my career, I don't care what stack you're using, honestly. Like, just pick something that you're good at, pick something that works for you and your team, and just ship with it. Next.js is good. Supabase is good. Tailwind, Shadscene is what I use in all my projects. So yeah, I mean, you can probably get a lot done with that stack. Now, would I pick Supabase over something like I'm using now with Convex? No, I would probably pick Convex. Aro. Next.js has more caveats. Would you recommend React Router 7, formerly Remix, or wait for TanStack Start v1? I would just pick TanStack Start, honestly. I think it's going to be... I think it's like probably the best framework we have, unfortunately. Time is it? 10:14. All right, let's try this out. Change the subheading to what is up. So what I'm looking for now, if I refine this page, it should just sit here, and then eventually, Convex will send me a new version number of the page I'm currently at, and then that effect should fire, and it should hopefully update this, and then it should just refresh the iframe. So we'll see. You know, I should probably be testing this on a smaller page because this is by far using a lot of my tokens, and we're talking like 5 cents every time I prompt it, I believe. I think I'm already at like $3, $2.44. That was before I did the stream. Now we're at $2.57. Not too high, not too high. But I wouldn't have to wait so long, so I should probably be doing this on a different page. Did you find Convex easier than Supabase? When you guys say Supabase, I think it's like a loaded question because Supabase, you can use it as a database host, right? Like I need a Postgres database. I'll use Supabase as my host. When you say Supabase, are you talking about like their API that they wrap in front of Postgres? I will say Convex has like a little bit of a learning curve to it. It's a different paradigm to how you write your apps. But I think it just gives you more flexibility and it gives you a lot of features out of the box for real-time apps that are updating. And in this day and age, with how much like AI is being integrated and asynchronous background processes are being added to applications, it's nice when the code in your front end is simplified, where it just automatically updates when your database changes. I think the main thing that I would pick Supabase for is if I just really wanted to use Postgres. Okay? If for some reason, like the client I'm working with or the company I'm working with just cannot have vendor lock-in, I'm not saying Convex will give you vendor lock-in, but using Supabase, at least just for a Postgres host, Supabase will give you vendor lock-in too. So what am I saying? Right? If you use Supabase the way they recommend it, where you have like that, the API layer, you're just going to get locked in as well. But writing subscriptions in Supabase, it's not trivial compared to like Convex. I have a whole video about that. If you want to see my comparison against Supabase and Convex, like go watch my video. Yeah, did this work? 3, 4. I don't think that worked. Add a new page called gallery, which shows 3 images, and link to it in the header. I'm just trying to get a smaller page here. Okay, so right now it's adding a new gallery page, and then it's going to add this header component. And unfortunately, it doesn't know to refresh the current page I'm on because like it doesn't know that it's using a header component. So I do have to hard refresh it, and I can click gallery. Now we have a gallery page with some images. What type of image is that? What's going on here? Please add the header and footer to this page. Go ahead and just see if this will work. I want it to refresh the page and increment the version number. Nice, look at that. This app is pretty banging at this point. I want to toot my own horn, but it's pretty good. Adding the auto refresh when you refine a single page. Sorry, did I say 50 cents? I mean like 5 cents. Are you planning to do any real-time AI, maybe with Twilio? What does real-time AI mean? Do you think it's as good as Cursor? No. I mean, you could try to find an extension. I think they have extensions for VS Code that can enable AI and stuff. And then you could maybe get it to be close like Cursor. I haven't used VS Code, like any AI extensions VS Code in a while, but I'm assuming they have some. Sorry, didn't manage to follow it all here. What is the AI extension? The AI extension for what? Like my code editor? I'm using Cursor when I'm running code. And then my website, like this is the actual like thing I'm building. And let me go back to the main page. Go back to there, go back to home. That seems like it's working. Okay. think it would violate their privacy, but yeah, this is the best I can do. Yeah, I mean, like if your company's concerned about having extensions send your code over to like external LLMs, then you probably can't install any AI extensions, right? When you talk with AI, like AI assistant, either over the phone or just straight with the mic. Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't thought about that. I had a loaded question above. Oh, can you give me your 60-second take on levels of abstraction, like how programming languages, libraries, frameworks, runtimes, packages, package managers, databases, APIs, DevOps, CI/CD, how it all connects together? Yeah, I mean, I guess abstraction is good because it helps us actually move fast and not worry about the the nitty-gritty details that sometimes we think are important but really just aren't that important. So like if I were to try to hit some of those terms like programming languages, right? Would you write something right now today in assembly? No, because you'd probably take so much time to achieve the most basic thing. So we go up a level in abstraction. Maybe you use C or C++. But then you find yourself spending a bunch of time with memory management because there's no garbage collector. And then you have strange errors like buffer overflows and all these other security issues that you have to think about. Then you go another layer of abstraction. Let's say you use Java. It has a garbage collector. You don't have to worry about all the memory management. It makes your life a little bit easier as a developer so you can make more progress faster because you're not worrying about some things. Now, there are trade offs. Sometimes if you're building a really high performant game or like a DAW for like, Adobe photo editor, then yeah, you probably want that fine tune management of memory. But for other things like a web server or a web application, it's okay to just say you don't want it, like you don't care about it. And there's also like, Go. I'm sure there's others. Like I haven't really played with Rust, so I can't really talk about Rust in terms of that language. It's just trade-offs, It's like how much control do you need over the program? And do you truly need that control or do you think you need that control? Same thing with frameworks. Like, yeah, I could probably build all this with vanilla JavaScript and HTML and CSS and have absolutely no abstractions, no build tools, no anything. But when you actually start building something with vanilla JS and you're doing like document.query selector and attaching event listeners and having to dynamically add in data, the JavaScript code becomes actually very, very hard to reason about in your own head. Okay, so then we go a level up in abstraction by using Vue or React, where there's an actual like pattern, a pattern that we can follow to more easily write these web applications where you have state that's shared between your different components in pages. Um, yeah, so I mean, like, if you want to actually like ship fast and be productive, you're going to use a lot of abstractions. And then a good abstraction typically allows you to like dive down a little bit lower if you need to. Like there's something you're really trying to do in React and you just can't get it done with React. You can just use a use effect and then bind to the lower level JavaScript by using refs. And then you kind of dive into that like JavaScript layer, right? With pure DOM manipulation if you need pure speed or manipulation of the DOM. I don't know. You asked a bunch of stuff here, so cool. Yeah, I think we made some good progress tonight in the stream. I've been going for an hour and 40 minutes, so I'm actually going to end the stream. So thank you all for joining. I think I fixed the stream. It's not dropping anymore. It's not disconnecting. So that's good. But yeah, if you guys enjoy the stream, make sure you like it before you leave. And press that bell notification because I don't have a set schedule as to when I stream. So you want to just get that ding on your phone when I go live so you guys can watch me. Yeah, hope to see you in my future streams or in my comments in my videos. Dope. Thanks for the question. It was quite a loaded question, so hopefully I kind of answered it.